What if I told you that the people who should protect your dreams the most are sometimes the ones who destroy them? What if your own family sabotaged your child's future out of pure jealousy? Today, I'm sharing a story that will make your blood boil about a mother who watched her daughter's scholarship dreams crumble, not because of failure, but because of family betrayal. And trust me, the revenge that followed was absolutely devastating. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Revenge with Amanda. I'm Amanda, and if you're new here, this channel is all about real stories of betrayal, manipulation, and the sweet taste of justice that follows. If you love stories where the underdog gets their revenge and the villains get exactly what they deserve, then you're in the right place. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because today's story is going to leave you speechless. Let me paint you a picture of Sarah, a single mother who worked 2 jobs just to keep food on the table and a roof over her and her daughter Emma's heads. Sarah had always been the black sheep of her family, not because she was rebellious or difficult, but because she dared to leave an abusive marriage and build a life on her own terms. Her parents, traditional to their core, never forgave her for the shame she brought to the family name. Her sister Lisa, the golden child, never missed an opportunity to remind everyone how Sarah had thrown her life away. But Sarah had something that neither her parents nor her sister could take away from her: a brilliant, determined daughter named Emma. At 17, Emma was everything Sarah had dreamed of being at that age. She was valedictorian of her class, captain of the debate team, volunteered at the local animal shelter every weekend, and somehow still managed to work part-time at a bookstore to help with family expenses. Emma had her sights set on Stanford University, and specifically their pre-med program. The problem? Even with Sarah working 60-hour weeks, they couldn't afford the tuition. But Emma wasn't deterred. She spent countless nights researching scholarships, writing essays, and preparing applications. The most prestigious one was the Morrison Academic Excellence Scholarship, a full ride that covered tuition, room, board, and even provided a stipend for books and supplies. Sarah watched her daughter transform into a machine of determination. Emma would come home from school, work her shift at the bookstore, then stay up until 2 a.m. working on scholarship applications and studying. Weekends were spent volunteering, participating in academic competitions, and maintaining the perfect GPA she needed to stay competitive. The Morrison Scholarship had 3 phases: academic transcript review, a comprehensive written application, including essays and recommendation letters, and finally, an in-person interview with the scholarship committee. Emma sailed through the first 2 phases. Her GPA was flawless, her extracurricular activities were impressive, and her essays about overcoming adversity and her passion for medicine moved even Sarah to tears. Then came the interview phase. Emma had prepared for months, practicing answers to potential questions, researching the scholarship committee members, and even buying a professional outfit with money she'd saved from her bookstore job. The interview was scheduled for a Saturday morning in December, just 2 weeks before the final decision would be announced. But here's where Sarah's family decided to show their true colors. 3 days before Emma's interview, Sarah's mother called with what seemed like wonderful news. Sarah's cousin was getting married, and they wanted to have an impromptu family reunion the same weekend as Emma's interview. The whole family would be there: aunts, uncles, cousins who hadn't seen each other in years. It was being framed as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to bring the family back together. "But Mom," Sarah explained, "Emma has her scholarship interview that Saturday. This could determine her entire future. We can't miss it." That's when her mother's voice turned cold. "You know, Sarah, this family has bent over backward to accommodate your choices for years. We've watched you struggle as a single mother. We've helped when we could, and we've never asked for much in return. But this one time, when we're asking you to prioritize family, you're choosing to put Emma's academic pursuits first? Sarah felt the familiar guilt creeping in. Her mother had always been a master manipulator, knowing exactly which buttons to push. It's not about choosing academics over family, Mom. It's about Emma's future. She's worked so hard for this. There will be other scholarships, Sarah. But there won't be another family reunion like this. Your sister Lisa is flying in from Seattle specifically for this. Your father isn't getting any younger, and you know his health hasn't been good lately. The emotional manipulation was textbook, but it was working. Sarah felt torn between supporting her daughter's dreams and maintaining what little relationship she had left with her family. But then Lisa got on the phone, and everything became crystal clear. Sarah, let's be honest here, Lisa said in that condescending tone Sarah knew so well. Emma's a smart girl, but Stanford? Really? She's setting herself up for disappointment. Maybe it's better if she learns now that life doesn't always give you what you want. There are plenty of good state schools that would be more realistic for someone in your situation. Sarah felt her blood pressure rising. My situation? What exactly do you mean by that? Come on, Sarah. You're a single mother working retail jobs. Emma's a good student, but she's not Stanford material. She doesn't have the connections, the background, the advantages that Stanford students typically have. This scholarship is probably going to go to someone whose family can afford to supplement it anyway. Why set her up for heartbreak? That's when Sarah realized what was really happening. This wasn't about family unity or concern for Emma's well-being. This was about ensuring that Emma didn't succeed beyond what Lisa thought someone from Sarah's situation deserved. But the pressure campaign didn't stop there. Over the next 2 days, Sarah received calls from aunts, uncles, and even family friends, all expressing disappointment that she would miss such an important family gathering for just an interview. The guilt-tripping was relentless and coordinated. Emma, meanwhile, was watching her mother struggle with the decision and made a choice that broke Sarah's heart. Mom, if this family thing is really important, I can try to reschedule the interview. Absolutely not, Sarah said firmly. We're going to that interview. But on Friday night, the night before the interview, Sarah's father called. He was in the hospital, he said. Chest pains. The doctors weren't sure what was wrong, but he was asking for Sarah. He wanted to see her and Emma before anything happened. Sarah's hands were shaking as she hung up the phone. Emma had overheard the conversation and immediately said, Mom, we have to go. Grandpa needs us. They drove through the night to reach the hospital, 3 hours away from Emma's interview location. When they arrived, Sarah's father was sitting up in bed, chatting with nurses and looking remarkably healthy for someone who had supposedly been having chest pains 12 hours earlier. Dad, are you okay? How are you feeling? Sarah asked, rushing to his bedside. Oh, much better now, he said with a smile. Turns out it was just indigestion. But I'm so glad you came. The whole family is here for the reunion. You can't leave now. That's when it hit Sarah like a freight train. The hospital emergency had been a lie. A coordinated lie designed to get them away from Emma's interview. She looked around the hospital room and saw Lisa smirking in the corner, their mother looking satisfied, and relatives who seemed far too cheerful for people who had supposedly been worried about a family medical emergency. Emma realized it too. Sarah watched her daughter's face crumble as the betrayal sank in. They made this up? To make me miss my interview? Now, Emma, Sarah's mother said, stepping forward, don't be dramatic. Your grandfather was genuinely worried about his health, and we're all just so happy to have the family together. There will be other opportunities for college. Other opportunities? Emma's voice was barely a whisper. Do you have any idea how hard I worked for this? Do you know what this scholarship meant to me? Lisa, never one to miss an opportunity to twist the knife, chimed in. Emma, honey, maybe this is the universe telling you that you are reaching too high. There are perfectly good community colleges that would be thrilled to have someone with your grades. Sarah watched her 17-year-old daughter, this brilliant, hard-working, determined young woman, start to cry. Not the angry tears of frustration, but the heartbroken tears of someone whose family had just shown them exactly how little their dreams mattered. That's when something inside Sarah snapped. "We're leaving," she announced. "Now." "Sarah, don't be ridiculous," her mother protested. "The interview was this morning. It's already over. Then we're going to find out if there's anything we can do to fix this." They drove back, calling the scholarship committee from the road. The interview had indeed passed, but when Sarah explained the family emergency, leaving out the part about it being fabricated, the committee agreed to a phone interview that afternoon. It wasn't ideal, but it was something. Emma aced the phone interview, even while emotionally drained from the morning's betrayal. Her passion, intelligence, and genuine love for learning came through even over a crackling cell phone connection. 2 weeks later, Emma received the call. She had won the Morrison Scholarship. But Sarah's revenge was just beginning. You see, Sarah had learned something important that day at the hospital. She had learned that her family wasn't just unsupportive, they were actively malicious. They weren't content to simply disapprove of her choices. They wanted to sabotage her daughter's future to prove their point. So Sarah decided to prove a point of her own. First, she documented everything. She saved voicemails, text messages, and wrote down detailed accounts of every conversation. She had proof of the coordinated campaign to make Emma miss her interview, including a recording of Lisa admitting that Emma needed to learn her place. Then, she started making some calls of her own. It turned out that Lisa's perfect life wasn't quite as perfect as she pretended. Lisa had been bragging for months about her son Jake's acceptance to Northwestern University and his prospects for joining a prestigious law firm after graduation. What she hadn't mentioned was that Jake's acceptance was contingent on him completing his senior year without any disciplinary issues, and that the law firm opportunity was through a family connection that depended on maintaining their reputation. Sarah had noticed Jake's social media posts getting increasingly problematic photos of underage drinking, posts containing racist and sexist comments, and bragging about cheating on exams. Screenshot by screenshot, Sarah built a comprehensive portfolio of Jake's online behavior. She also discovered that Lisa had been inflating her own accomplishments at work, claiming credit for projects she hadn't worked on and exaggerating her role in company successes. A few carefully placed calls to Lisa's colleagues revealed a pattern of unethical behavior that her supervisors were very interested to learn about. As for Sarah's parents, they had always prided themselves on being pillars of their community and active members of their church. But Sarah remembered stories about how they had treated other family members who didn't conform to their expectations. Stories about small cruelties and large betrayals disguised as tough love. Sarah began reaching out to these family members, cousins, and relatives who had been quietly ostracized over the years for various failures, getting divorced, choosing unconventional careers, marrying outside their race or religion. One by one, she gathered their stories and realized that what happened to Emma wasn't an isolated incident. It was a pattern. The revenge unfolded slowly, methodically, and devastatingly. First, Jake's social media posts were anonymously forwarded to Northwestern's admissions office and to the law firm's HR department. The university launched an investigation into his academic integrity, and the law firm quietly withdrew their offer. Lisa's professional misconduct was reported to her company's ethics board with detailed documentation. She found herself under investigation and eventually terminated for misrepresentation and taking credit for others' work. But the most devastating blow came from an unexpected source. Sarah's collection of family stories revealed a pattern of emotional abuse and manipulation that several family members decided they were finally ready to address publicly. At the next big family gathering, a celebration for Sarah's parents' 40th wedding anniversary, These family members stood up and shared their experiences. One by one, they detailed how Sarah's parents had used emotional manipulation, financial control, and social ostracism to punish family members who didn't meet their expectations. They talked about Sarah's cousin, who had been disowned for being gay, about her uncle, who had been excluded from family events after his business failed, about her aunt, who had been emotionally abused for choosing to work outside the home. The family's carefully constructed image crumbled in front of their entire social circle. Their church congregation, their neighbors, their friends, everyone learned the truth about the people they had thought were such devoted family leaders. Lisa, having lost her job and with her son's future derailed, tried to rebuild by moving back to her hometown and starting over. But Sarah had made sure that the truth followed her there too. Every new job application, every attempt to join social groups, every effort to rebuild her reputation was quietly undermined by the truth about what she had done to her own niece. The final piece of Sarah's revenge was the most satisfying. She compiled all the documentation, all the family stories, and all the evidence of the coordinated campaign against Emma into a detailed letter. She sent copies to every member of their extended family, every family friend, and everyone in their social circle. The letter was titled, "How My Family Taught Me That Blood Isn't Always Thicker Than Water." In it, Sarah detailed not just what they had done to Emma, but the decades-long pattern of emotional abuse and manipulation that had affected countless family members. She explained how their need to control and punish had damaged relationships, destroyed opportunities, and caused immeasurable pain to people who had done nothing wrong except fail to meet impossible standards. The response was overwhelming. Family members who had been silent for years started speaking up. Friends and community members who had witnessed the behavior but never said anything began sharing their own observations. Sarah's parents found themselves increasingly isolated as their true nature became impossible to deny. But here's the most beautiful part of this revenge story. Emma thrived at Stanford. She graduated summa cum laude, got into medical school, and is now a resident at one of the most prestigious hospitals in the country. She specialized in emergency medicine, inspired by her desire to help people in their most vulnerable moments, a calling that was certainly shaped by her own experience of being let down by those who should have protected her. Emma has never spoken to Lisa or her grandparents again. Not out of anger, but out of a clear understanding that people who would sabotage a teenager's future out of jealousy and spite have nothing positive to offer her life. Sarah occasionally gets updates about her family through mutual relatives. Lisa never recovered professionally and now works a series of temporary jobs while struggling to pay for Jake's community college education. Jake, for his part, seems to have learned nothing from the experience and continues to blame everyone but himself for his failures. Sarah's parents, now in their 70s, find themselves largely alone. Their need to control and manipulate drove away not just Sarah, but most of their extended family. The few relatives who still speak to them do so out of obligation rather than genuine affection. Meanwhile, Sarah built a new family, a chosen family of friends, colleagues, and relatives who actually supported each other's dreams instead of sabotaging them. She attended Emma's medical school graduation, watched her daughter walk across that stage, and felt a satisfaction that had nothing to do with revenge and everything to do with seeing her child succeed despite every obstacle that had been thrown in her path. The morale of this story isn't just about revenge, though the revenge was certainly satisfying. It's about recognizing that sometimes the people who claim to love you are actually your biggest obstacles. It's about understanding that family isn't just about blood, it's about support, encouragement, and wanting the best for each other. Sarah's family wanted to keep her and Emma in their place, to ensure that they never rose above what these small-minded people thought they deserved. But by trying to destroy Emma's opportunities, they revealed their true nature to everyone around them. Sarah's revenge wasn't just about punishment, It was about exposure. She simply made sure that everyone could see her family for who they really were. And sometimes, that's the most devastating revenge of all, the truth. What do you think about Sarah's revenge? Was it justified, or did she go too far? Have you ever had family members try to sabotage your success out of jealousy? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one. And your stories often inspire future videos. If you enjoyed this story of family betrayal and epic revenge, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to Revenge with Amanda for more incredible stories like this one. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload. And if you have a revenge story you'd like me to cover, send it to the email in my description. Remember, sometimes the best revenge isn't getting even, it's succeeding so spectacularly that your enemy's attempts to hold you back become irrelevant. Emma didn't just overcome her family's sabotage. She soared so high that their pettiness couldn't even reach her.